Welcome, bourbon aficionados, enthusiasts, and curious sippers alike, to Sip Wiselee, a podcast brought to you by the St. Charles Bourbon Society. My name is Jonathon Lee, and I will serve as your guide on this journey through the wonderful world of bourbon. Whether you are a seasoned connoisseur or just beginning to explore the depths of this flavorful spirit, our podcast is your passport to discovery, education, and pure enjoyment. Here, we'll dive into the history, craftsmanship, and flavors that make bourbon more than just a drink. It's a culture, a passion, and a way of life. Join us as we uncork the stories behind your favorite distilleries, uncover the secrets of barrel aging, and decode the complexities of tasting notes and flavor profiles. Each episode is crafted with care to inform, entertain, and inspire your own bourbon journey. So, grab your favorite glass, pour yourself some of your go-to bourbon, and join us as we raise a toast to the finer things in life. From barrel to bottle and glass to lips, let's sip wisely. Cheers. Hello, Sip Wiselee listeners. Welcome to another thrilling installment of our bourbon journey. We're beyond excited to spotlight a new distillery this month. Last month, in our debut episodes, we featured the incredible Still 630, based right here in St. Louis, Missouri. If you haven't checked out those first two episodes yet, you're missing out, and you might even snag a discount on their bottles. But you need to hurry before it's too late. This month, we're diving into the rich history and exceptional bourbon of the legendary Ben Holladay Distillery in Weston, Missouri. I've got to say, I was especially pumped for this conversation. While I've had the pleasure of chatting with some fantastic distilleries, and I can't wait to share those with you, Ben Holladay is a personal favorite of my dad and me. I vividly remember the first time I found a bottle and shared it with him. Such a special moment. A huge shout out to Jordan and Kyle for making time for our little show here. Before our chat, I had the chance to visit the distillery and take a tour. What a stunning location. Just 20 minutes from the Kansas City airport, it's a hidden gem with breathtaking views, a rich history, and of course, amazing bourbon. In this episode, we kick things off by getting to know Kyle and Jordan and the expertise and innovation they bring to the distillery. We dive into the fascinating history of Ben Holladay, both the man and the distillery. We discuss the elegance of their two main bottles, and Kyle shares some behind-the-scenes secrets about crafting their soft red variant. We also uncover a not-so-scary cave on site, which is being used for some intriguing experiments exclusive to the distillery. Finally, Jordan introduces an awesome feature on their website. It's a journal from the master distiller himself that gives you unprecedented insights into the bottles we all love. The link will be in the show notes, and I highly recommend checking it out. Before we jump into the episode, a quick reminder. We'll be tasting Ben Holladay in our next episode, coming out on the 15th. Just like last month's highlight, our friends at A1 Wine & Spirits on Mexico Road are offering a special discount for Sip Wiselee listeners. Head over there this month. Mention the secret word Weston. The secret word is Weston, and you'll enjoy 10% off your purchase of Ben Holladay bottles. So again, mention the secret word Weston to enjoy 10% off your purchase of Ben Holladay bottles. I'll definitely be grabbing mine there, and I suggest you do the same. Big thanks to A1 Wine & Spirits on Mexico Road for this awesome offer. Now, let's dive into our conversation with Jordan Germano, Communications Director, and Kyle Merklein, Master Distiller of Ben Holladay Distillery. Enjoy the show. Today's episode is proudly brought to you by A1 Wine & Spirits on Mexico Road in St. Peters, Missouri, your ultimate bourbon destination. Explore their exclusive single barrels, hand-picked for unparalleled flavor. They also offer bourbon education classes where you'll unlock the secrets of this beloved spirit. But wait, there's more. With their exclusive reward system, you can gain access to premier allocated bottles, ensuring you never miss out on the finest selections. While we're on the topic of bourbon, let's not forget about their incredible selection of wines and other spirits, including rum, tequila, and vodka. So whether you're in the mood for a classic bourbon or something a little different, A1 Wine and Spirits on Mexico Road in St. Peters, Missouri has you covered. That's A1 Wine and Spirits on Mexico Road in St. Peters, Missouri, where the selection is vast and prices are great, allowing you to sip wisely. Welcome everybody into the main section of this episode. I'm excited to have two awesome guests with me. I'm going to introduce you to them here in a moment. They are with the Ben Holladay Distillery, and I'm excited to have them because that's one of my go-to drinks. So welcome, you two.
Thank you. Thanks for having
thank you.
us.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Would you take a moment, if you would, to introduce yourselves, tell us who you are, and give the audience some information about you there.
Take it away, Kyle.
So I'm Kyle Merklein, master distiller here at the Holladay Distillery. So I've been hanging out over here making bourbon since kind of 2016, so right when we started. So that's my role. It's still weird getting used to saying I guess I'm how many years? 8 years in. Master distiller is one of those titles. I don't know if I'm ever going to get used to that as my title, but yeah, so here I am. But yeah, that's who I am. Been here since kind of about the beginning. So
And
cool.
my name's Jordan Germano. I'm the communications manager here at the distillery. I've worn several hats over the years. I've been here about 9 years. I've spent some time in tourism, on the marketing and sales team. So it's been really good to kind of see different aspects and facets of the business. So, and I get to come to work and hang out and explore bourbon every day. Can't really complain.
The first thing we want to learn a little bit more about you is your bourbon statistics. Now, this is just a way of kind of learning your history, your experience with bourbon. So, Kyle, no pressure. You are the master distiller, so you should have buku amount of experience, right? But tell us a little bit. What is your bourbon age? Which your experience with bourbon?
Yeah, so I guess quick math, I would be probably I guess 14 years. So 14 years. Yeah, sounds about right. Drank bourbon before coming over here. I enjoyed drinking bourbon and trying different things and learning about that. But yeah, so obviously I'm still, I get the comment all the time, oh, you're too young to be a master distiller. So yeah, it's not like I've been drinking bourbon and making it for 30 plus years, but yeah, so drank it for a while, preferred drinking it. That was the drink of choice, and then came over here. So yeah, about 14 years, I'd say.
I mean, your product's pretty darn good, so pretty good job for young age there.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it.
Jordan, how about yourself, bourbon? Your bourbon age.
So my bourbon age, I'll claim 2 here. I've been working with it for about 8 years. So researching it, figuring out kind of like how we wanted to set up our bourbon experience. And so diving into a lot of other brands and just trying to learn about bourbon in general. But I actually haven't really been drinking it and into like the tasting process and really breaking down flavors and different things like that, probably until we launched our own bourbon. It's not like before then I was really sipping other brands and getting super into it. I think I was just waiting for Kyle to bring out the good stuff. So that was
Smart.
2022.
Yep.
So I'm only about 2 years in.
Okay. All right. That's nothing wrong with that, but you get more research. You get more information behind the scenes. So
Yeah.
I'm doing the opposite. I don't just drink and go, yeah, I don't taste any pear, but okay. But you're learning how to do all that before you get it. That's probably a better route to go, but that's good. So when you have your drink, what style do you typically prefer?
Well, I have really come to love a nice, neat glass of Rickhouse proof bourbon, barrel strength. That's kind of the way I go. Or I could really always go for a solid old fashioned.
Okay.
I'm very picky about my old fashions, but a good one I can have anytime. What about you, Kyle?
Yeah, so I drink bourbon a lot in any different way usually. So
I think we'd be disappointed if you didn't drink bourbon a lot.
yeah, it's often. Yeah, so if I'm generally choosing what I'm gonna have, I'm going with our Ben Holladay Rickhouse Proof. So that original mash bill, the one that kind of first released in the state of Missouri, that original one for us. I prefer that. I like that. And I'm going to go with it neat. Although I will say with warmer weather, you kind of deviate a little bit more towards that soft red, and it's not bad with a nice big ice cube on the porch, just hanging out. And so I would say that's also a close second. I've always been kind of a seasonal or just, each night, like, hey, what do I feel like? What's the play tonight? And even when it was other brands, that was still the case. It was not like I had one particular one I'd go to or whatnot. And I think a lot of people are probably similar to that. So it's still the case. We have a variety in our portfolio that, I'm drinking the Ben Holladay Rickhouse Proof Neat now, but it still kind of depends on the day. So
Yeah, no, I hear you there. I think I'm new to the scene. I call myself the bottle and bond person, so you have to be at least 4 years for that. So I'm about 4.5, 5 years in that time frame. So, and and just starting off, I couldn't handle the burn, the hug. So I always went with the rock and ice. But now that I've made my 4 year mark, I feel like I'm getting more used to it. So I definitely am trending more to the neat side, but I agree with you. As you get to the summer months, it is nice to have a cooler
yeah.
drink to it. And so, and now that I've done some reviews and some articles, I try to get a perspective of what it tastes like neat, what it tastes like with with a little splash of water. And it's been a neat experience for me just to actually taste the difference of what that little bit of change can bring to the bourbon. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure. That is kind of the fun of this. Bourbon is pretty versatile. I think that's overall a lot to it. Whether it's me drinking it neat, or me and Jordan drinking it neat, or my wife, she does not care for bourbon, so she'll have a softer red in a cocktail, and that's the route that she's going to go, and it still works. And so it's a pretty cool versatile spirit in that regard. So
Yeah. My wife is not a bourbon fan either. I did bring her home a bottle of your whiskey cream. So she's excited to have some of that. But she'll go on a tour and I just get double the bourbon. So it's a win-win, really. But
Felt
so.
well for you.
All right, so we've got to know each other a little bit. Let's play a little game before we get into more things. Ben Holladay. Two truths or a lie. You guys familiar with that?
Yep.
Okay, so you can give me three statements, and two of them are going to be facts, true, and one's going to be false. And I have to use my sleuthing skills to determine which one is not, which one is the lie. And so I'm ready when you are.
Okay, so let's kind of take it back to the beginning. The founder of our distillery, his name was Ben Holladay. And Ben Holladay was friends with Abraham Lincoln. That's your first one.
All right.
Okay, the next one is, let's say, on the 8th of each month, we fill 8 barrels that we're going to put in the rick house to age for 8 years. Will be your second one. And then let's finish with, we use limestone spring water in the production for all of our bourbon. That'll be your third.
Okay. Let's see here. Your founders, Ben Holladay, and knew Abraham Lincoln. That's pretty sweet. So I gotta say that's gotta be true because otherwise, I want to hear that story. 8th of each month, you put them in your rick house for 8 years. I want that to be true too, because that sounds pretty cool. And you give limestone. That's a Kentucky thing. So I think that might. Oh boy, I'm never very good at these. Let's go with the 8th of each month, 8 years. That's a lie.
You know what, Jonathan? It is a lie.
Oh no. Real? Oh, yay, I should be excited.
I'm about to make your day, though. Kyle, do you want to tell them what the truth of that lie is? There's
Yeah, so
partial truth.
8 years is not good enough. You got to go for 10. So all the same things, just 10 instead of 8. So
Okay. So the 8th of each month, the ones that go in the barrel are going to go in the rick house for 10 years.
10th of each month.
10th. Oh,
10
10, okay. So the 8ths are all wrong. So it's 10th of each
Yep.
month. So that'll be yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
Yep.
right.
That's
So
correct.
yesterday, some barrels went into the wreck house, and we won't see them again until this time 10 years from now.
That is correct.
And
Yep.
has that been happening since you started?
It happened since October 10th, 2017.
Okay.
So initially we knew we had so everything in our what we're doing is kind of rooted in the past, right? And so we knew we had a 10-year product, and so it was, hey, we're October 10th, let's put something away for 10 years. And then it's like, no, 10 barrels, that's actually not enough. Like we need to hold back more. Like we can't just do 10 barrels for 10 years. Like so then it kind of evolved from there. But yeah, ever since 2017. So we'll have a 10-year product. But that was kind of the beginning in October of 2017.
Okay. So I just pulled up my calendar and marked the date of October 10th, 2027.
Yep, there you go.
All right. All right. I'll be reaching out to you again on that day just so I can. That sounds awesome. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I can't wait to taste that 10-year because you run it's 6 years now.
6-year age
Standard
statement.
product, 6 years. Yep. And so
Correct.
that was pretty tasty. So I can only imagine what a 10-year is going to taste like then.
Yeah, I also am imagining it because we don't have it yet, but we've tried that from our past, and it's really good. The few bottles we've had from our archives of 30 plus years ago. So
Yeah.
definitely excited about that and what we can do with that product.
Okay, great. So let's talk about the other ones that are actual facts as well. So the amazing one, which I'm kind of glad that it's true because I want to hear the story. The founder is named Ben Holladay, which I figured was true, but knew Abraham Lincoln. That one, I was like, what?
Yeah, Ben Holladay was kind of a big deal back in his day. We kind of feel like Ben is one of the greatest unknown figures in American history because he did so many great things and really helped build the West, honestly. And nobody really knows about him. So growing up, I'm sure I didn't learn about Ben Holladay. I don't feel like a lot of people did. So he was a serial entrepreneur. He came to Weston as a teenager. And Weston itself was actually named as being the furthermost town west of the trade at the time. So that's where it gets its name, Weston. And he came to Weston to start businesses and just kind of see what was next for himself. And he had a background in transportation. So his father ran a lot of stage lines back through whenever he was a young child in Kentucky. So he was familiar with the operations that his father ran. And so when Ben came to Weston, he was actually the first postmaster that we had here. He ran a saloon. He had a hotel, and then he bought the land that the distillery sits on in 1849. And being from Kentucky, he knew that the limestone water spring source that was running through this property, he knew exactly what that would be good for. So then next came the distillery. So Ben didn't stop there. He actually ended up establishing the Overland Express. So stage lines to run product out west. And you might be familiar with that red and gold stagecoach that you might see on a financial institution today called
Wells Fargo.
So that was actually Ben Holladay's operation back in the day. And at one point in time, he was the largest private employer in the United States. So he did have close counsel with the federal government. So he worked closely with Abraham Lincoln and yeah, so it sounds like it could be a lie, but it's actually legit.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I'm on the tour. You get some of that, but I don't remember Lincoln's name coming up. But I do kind of remember the Express part. I don't remember the Wells Fargo name coming up. But that's all pretty neat little history there.
Yeah, he went on to help develop the railroad system, and he owned silver mines and gold mines and had opulent mansions all over the country. And he actually ended up dying pretty broke, though, unfortunately, due to the panic of, now I'm dropping on the date, the panic of 1873. 1873.
I had no idea.
Yeah, so he lost everything.
I just make the bourbon.
Yeah.
Jordan was trying to look to me for like support. I don't know. Like
that's the difference between just drinking it and getting the history beforehand and then drinking it. Oh, very neat. That's awesome. So, and then the limestone one, which you just kind of referenced, they brought limestone over, right? I mean, is that what my understanding is? They brought limestone in, or you have it here?
It's here and it's been here. And it was actually discovered first charted by Lewis and Clark in
Okay.
1804.
Yeah,
That's the record we have of it, but
gotcha.
it's flowing abundantly today. And that's what Kyle uses to make his bourbon. So,
Yeah, ultimately, Ben came up from Kentucky, and he and his brother were both from Kentucky, and so they knew kind of the hallmark and the keys to making kind of that bourbon back there, and it was that limestone spring water. You couldn't have, especially back then. I mean, if you think about it, having clean water in the 1850s, that's a challenge. And so having access to that, they knew that that was a big part of what you needed, and so that was ultimately why they would have been here and why they would have chose this location. And that's, the beginning of how we can make the bourbon that we do is because of that.
Gotcha. Yeah, you got two big, huge wells that you get to, hang out and see the water grow over the limestone. It's pretty neat to see that there. So let's move on to talking about the bourbon itself. All right. You mentioned of your flagship, right? You get the main one you first came out with, and you also have soft red version as well. What can you tell me what the difference are between those two, and if I am tasting it, which the 15th of the month is going to be a time for we will be sitting around, whether it's a Zoom meeting, whether it's at a bar or a restaurant or whatever, and having and tasting the different versions that are out there of your drink. And but tell me in advance, so what can I expect between what I'm used to with the regular one, which I get a lot, and then the soft red.
Yeah, I think so. That original mash bill, the one with the Ben Holladay stagecoach on it, that Ben Holladay one, that's 73% corn, 15% rye, 12% malted barley. When we started back up again, kind of renovating the still house 2014-15 timeframe, the thought was, let's bring back what we used to do. So we made bourbon from 1856 when Ben Holladay founded the facility up until about 1985 with a short prohibition break. And so, when we shut down in 1985, we had that history of making bourbon, and it was always the one mash bill, that 73 corn, 15 rye, 12% malted barley. And the thought was, let's bring that back. Let's bring back the way that we used to do it, that history, that legacy, that heritage of ours. And so that's what we did. And so that was the first one that we released and waited until it was 6 years. So that one, as is typical for a rye, you get a little bit more of that spice characteristic coming through with that. But it's the bottled and bond, so 100 proof, and it's just overall a pretty well balanced sweet bourbon. It's not super spicy. You hear 15% rye. That's not it's not low by Kentucky standards, but it's not high by some high rye bourbon standards. So it's kind of right there in the middle. So it's got that nice balance overall as a characteristic. And that was the original. So that's what that first one is. And soft red wheat, that was not something we've normally done. I always joke, like, Mick Harris, our president, he likes wheated bourbons, and I like keeping my job. And so that's why that exists. Really, in 2017, in February, we first made that. And so that was when it came into existence. We did not do that really throughout our history. I mean, ever at all. It was bourbon one way. That was our way of doing it. And so the soft red wheat, that was the newer addition to the lineup. And when doing that, there's a handful of ways that you can take that, but ultimately we wanted it to be a true study in one grain. So what impact does one grain have on the overall taste profile of the bourbon? And so, a lot of companies, if they have a wheated mash bill and they have their original bourbon, they'll change up a lot to it. They'll change up the numbers completely. They'll change up barrel entry proof. We didn't do that at all. We stuck with the same way of making our bourbon, the same way that we've done in our history, 3-day fermentation and column distillation, char 3 barrel, 118 barrel entry proof. We stuck consistent with that between both mash bills and just switched up that 15% rye from our Ben Holladay and put 15% soft red winter wheat in that soft red wheat mash bill. And so, it's just overall a much, kind of softer, more approachable bourbon a little bit. And it really, with wheat, you get some extra body in the mouthfeel a little bit with that, but then you also let that barrel kind of shine through. And so you get a little bit more of those barrel characteristics rather than kind of the grain. And so that's the main differences. Ultimately they're very similar. Both kind of have that taste of place, I guess, if you will. It's Missouri bourbon. It's made here in Weston, and so it has that characteristic and taste profile, but it's all done in a very traditional way. And so, yeah, that's the kind of the high level answer, I guess, on that. I don't know, Jordan, anything you want to add?
No, I think that sounds about right. I think so in the cooking process, this is actually a question I've been meaning to ask you, so hopefully this will be a good time. Comes to grain temperatures, we do cook the wheat at a lower temperature. Is that correct?
Slightly higher.
Slightly higher.
But,
Okay, so
yep.
flip it. Okay. Yeah, but everything else is the same.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you handle, we have a two cooker system here on site. And when I kind of the brief rundown, everything we did was bringing back our history. And so we have this two cooker system where you cook your corn up to your gelatinization temp, and then separately you cook your small grain. And that's in our company's history always been that rye. But wheat has a different gelatinization temperature than the rye. And so you cook those two individually, cool that corn down to about the same temperature as what your small grain is, and then you can combine those two, then cool them down and pitch your yeast into that. And so, yeah, we handle it differently, but that's about it. Different mash bill, different cook. From there, same yeast, same fermentation process. And then with us, we have a column followed by a doubler on site. And so that was what we always had. We couldn't renovate our old still that we, was sitting in the still house 30 plus years. So we bought a new one, and it's an 18-inch column still from Vendome. And so in the history, kind of how you control flavor development on a column is through your distillation proofs. And so coming off our distillation column for both mash bills, it's 120 proof. Going into our doubler, then distills up to 130 proof. And that's consistent across the board. So yeah, everything about them we stuck pretty consistent. And so it's kind of fun because the whole process is identical, to be able to just see, hey, this one grain changes, and it does make a dramatic effect, cause a dramatic effect on the bourbon. And so that's really, one time I always joke too, we had a sales guy who's in charge of kind of the where does the bourbon go and all of that fun game. But he sat down and was really preparing, because I had always educated him on what to say in all these meetings. How do we talk to everybody about this? Learning bourbon, and he's sitting down like, hey, what's the difference between the two mash bills? Like, he was prepared for an all afternoon, and it's just like, well, one grain. That's it. Like,
One
cool.
grain.
You got 2 degrees and you did nothing with that. You just switched up a grain. Awesome. So, but
You youngin', I tell you, no.
yeah, exactly.
Sometimes simplicity is the best way to go, right? I think, yeah, our go-to, my father and I love the original one, and we feel the spice, but I mean, until we heard a review on YouTube talk about how it was great, but it really tasted like a high rye one. We're like, we don't taste that because we're not big rye fans. But so it doesn't really come off that way, but we definitely feel a little bit of that rye, I guess, now that I'm learning more about it. And the soft wet, I agree. It would definitely be a lot smoother. Not as harsh, I guess I would say. But yeah, they're both very flavorful and delicious. So keeping it simple sounds like it's working out pretty well. A couple things I want to get to, and we only got a few minutes to go. On the tour, they talked about one of the questions that came up. You've got this big, huge rick house, BNC, 2 rick houses, right? When you go to dump barrels, do you pick from different levels of the rick house, right? Because level 6 can taste very different than level 1. The answer we got is you really don't. You don't rotate through things. So talk about if let's see if your tour guy was speaking truth as one. I won't say his name if he's not. And then also just talk about what that means for your product.
Yeah, so we don't rotate barrels for consistency. So that's kind of the main driver. So, in Kentucky, you have some that say, hey, we're going to take from the top of the floors, and we're going to, after X amount of time, we're going to move them down to the bottom. Or a lot of times they'll say, hey, we're always going to pull from an X, a cross section of our rick house, so that we always get a nice variety, always top, bottom, middle, everything. And we really, when you create a brand, you can reevaluate all of that. And so we decided, one, rotating barrels, that's expensive and dangerous. You need people, and also anytime you move barrels, there's inherently risk. We'd rather not put our people at risk on that. And so if we don't have to rotate them, great, let's not do that. And so then the blend patterns for consistency, as we were kind of thinking about that, it's like, why do we have to be 100% consistent every time? It's, you have vintages in wine, and, you can't use that term in bourbon. It's trademarked heavily by the wine industry. But, why can't you actually still have a little bit of a deviation in between the bottlings and talk about that? And so really that's what we do. And so on our bottles, there's a side chart to everything that we do, whether it's our Holladay soft red wheat or whether it's our Ben Holladay. On that side chart, it shows where we select the barrels every time we bottle. And so, yeah, like you mentioned, sixth floor tastes different than second floor. And so if we use, a certain percent of sixth floor in one batch, that's going to taste different. And sometimes we're not going to have sixth floor available, and it's going to be coming from floors 3 and 4. So what does that taste like? And so we're really letting the consumer into trying these different floors and tasting through that rickhouse in a way that's not just your typical single barrel program type of thing. And so every one of them we do full transparency all the time. You can see that. And if you like one, make note of those floors, where it's coming from, because that's, something that no one else is doing. And so that was really kind of the reason for that full transparency. But then also, let's not rotate barrels. Let's see what that rickhouse, there's magic going on in there. And so we don't need to blend for consistency. Let's embrace the variability of that.
Yeah. So my comment on that was on the tour was that's actually really smart, and you may be light on the experience end, but very savvy on the other end, because I agree. If I completely wholeheartedly trust that Ben Holladay is going to put out a good product, it really doesn't matter which floor it comes from. I know it's going to be good because you wouldn't put it out if it's not. And it does give that variability enough to where I'm like, wow, this was 2 floors below this other stuff, and there is a subtle difference in it. And so it really just kind of encourages the consumer to buy more of your product. That's pretty ingenious.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. We have approached this as bourbon consumers first, and then creating the brand second. So a lot of the transparency, a lot of the fun with this, a lot of us drank bourbon beforehand. And so what can we do to bring the things that we wish we could see? And so that's really where it came from. So, that's what we're hoping for. We enjoy kind of hanging out with the whiskey nerds and the bourbon clubs and going through all the different varieties we got. So.
Right. So I want to get to one last thing, and I definitely got a 375 bottle of it. Let's talk about the Ancient Cave bottles you just got come out. Tell me a little bit about that and why that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So the cave collection, that was again something we've never done. It was we have a little cave on site. It used to be the landing spot for our tours, and we had church pews, and you'd come in and start your tour and learn all about our history. But when we first released our bourbon, we had a bunch of different events here, and was sitting with Patrick Fee, our VP of Marketing and Sales, and just kind of talking through different things in the future of bourbon and toasted barrel and double oaked. That's at the time, and that was 2 years ago, and you see more of it now. But that, we saw that, and it's like, what's going on with those? And you think about it, and it's generally consistent temperature, and you kind of eliminate the variability of the rick house with that. And you want a cool climate in general, just to control that a bit more. And so kind of looked at the cave and thought, hey, that's actually a good spot for it. And let's get rid of those church pews and let's put some ricks in there. And so that's what we did. Kind of the beauty of working at a company that's, smaller, you can, in a matter of days, start your federal filing to bond property and get ricks put up. And so what we did is we took 6-year-old bourbon for the first experiment. This is an experimental cave currently. Nothing has hit the market outside of our distillery, but we took 6-year-old bourbon, Ben Holladay mash bill, and we filled up secondary barrels. And whether it's a standard, char 3 barrel as just a pure double oaking of our current barrel, or whether it's toasted barrels, whether there's specialty wave stave type of things. And so we worked with Independent Stave Company out of Lebanon, Missouri, and we got 13 different kinds of barrels. build those up with 6-year-old bourbon and let that sit for another year. So total time in 7 years in a barrel, 7+. And all of them sat in 2 different barrels, the second one unique. And so it's, toasted barrel, double oaked, whatever the term is. And it's just kind of playing around with it. And so we want to see what happens with all of that, what barrel works, what mash bill works, how long. Everything about it is just pure experimentation. And so it's just been a fun thing to do here. We'll see, what happens long term with that. Missouri is our home state. And so anything that we do, high likelihood that it would be in Missouri first or only in Missouri and, not anywhere else. And so we'll see, but that's just kind of currently experimentation. We just keep dropping them at our welcome center as they come around. And so we'll be repeating that. I have to actually figure out which barrels we're dumping to repeat with the soft red wheat mash bill of the same barrels here now. So
That's awesome. Yeah, that whole story about the ancient caves was really cool. And I mean, they pointed out how cows used to be hung, so it was stored for meat. And I was like, oh, so, and the whiskey I'm going to be drinking has been in there. But I mean, that's a neat idea. I didn't even think about it being kind of akin to toasted barrel or double oak, that kind of thing. But it's definitely delicious. He almost sold me on 2, but I'd already had 3 other bottles I was buying, so I had to limit myself. But it's pretty darn good, and I've got 3 people who want to taste it, and I'm like, well, it's only $3.75, so I got to limit my taste deals there. But it's pretty cool. So we've talked about a lot so far. We've talked about the history, which is amazing. When included Abraham Lincoln, the limestone that's on property, just like it is in Kentucky. It's pretty sweet. The mash bill and how you get a lot out of simplicity. And so I think that's been amazing to hear. And just having the ability to have a cave on property, how unique is that to anything else that we've missed, failed to talk about that you want to share and for our listeners to check out?
I think just there's one thing too that I would like to add about our website, holladaydistillery.com. So if fans can go there and actually read and kind of geek out on Kyle's Distiller's Journal, which is pretty unique. Like he'll take the time to really talk about the rick, the tier, like every detail that kind of went into the barrels that were chosen for that batch, and just really kind of go into the nitty gritty that you're not going to get when you just take a glance at the bottle or talk to somebody at the liquor store. So I think that's really unique. And also on the website, you can check out more information on our tours. So we always love for people to kind of see our process firsthand and connect with us that way. And we do tours Friday through Sunday. And then our distillery welcome center is open Wednesday through Sunday, and we do tastings. We have a full cocktail bar. It's just a really beautiful place to come and hang out.
Yep, I can attest to that too. I was there not too long ago. My in-laws are over there in Liberty, Missouri. It's not too far from you. I'm like, all right, you guys take the kids, and I'm gonna go over here. And it was a lot of fun. Great history lesson. Got to taste some good stuff afterwards. It's beautiful out there, and to see, I'm like, oh wow. And it's not too far from Kansas City Airport. So those listening that are farther away, just hitch on a plane and land, and you're about 20 minutes from the airport, if I remember correctly. And so it's yeah, definitely worth the visit. And they sell things there that you can't get anywhere else. So they kind of entice you even more to come out there and check that out. So we'll put your link to the website in the show notes. So those who are listening, you can just click on over there and access all that information, that cool stuff. And I just want to say thank you very much for taking the time to talk with our audience and be on the show and share everything that's been awesome for Ben Holladay.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for having us.
What a fantastic story. I was absolutely blown away by the history, not just of the distillery, but of Ben Holladay himself. Personal friends of Abraham Lincoln? Are you kidding me? Wow. How brilliant was it for him to recognize that the limestone on his land would be crucial for distilling? I found the insight into creating the soft red variant truly fascinating. Sure, the idea was simple: stick to tradition. But kudos for them for staying true to their roots. It's amazing how swapping one ingredient, in this case rye for wheat, can transform the final product. Kyle's suggestion that the rye variant is perfect for cooler weather makes so much sense. Its spice really warms you up. On the flip side, the sweeter, soft red variant is perfect for cooling off during the hot months. With summer approaching, I'm definitely heading to A1 Wine and Spirits on Mexico Road to snag a soft red at the listener discount. What's the secret code again? Oh yeah, it's Weston. Mention it at checkout and enjoy 10% off your Ben Holladay bottles. I can't wait to taste and discuss their wonderful bourbon in our tasting episode. Don't forget to check out the show notes for a direct link to their website. There you can explore the distiller's notes and learn more about their products. I love how they break down what percentages came from each floor of the rickhouse. It's such a unique touch. Reading about their thought process behind this particular bourbon was also truly intriguing. If you haven't visited Ben Holladay Distillery yet, plan a trip soon. You won't be disappointed. Do you have a bottle of Ben Holladay on your shelf? Share your thoughts with us. Tag Sip Wiselee in your post so we can feature it in future episodes. And remember, our tasting episode drops on June 15th. We hope you'll join us and participate in the tasting. If you don't have a bottle yet, head over to A1 Wine and Spirits on Mexico Road to snag one with the Sip Wiselee discount. We'll post which bottles we'll be tasting on social media so you can follow along. Thanks for tuning in. We greatly appreciate your support. Please share the podcast with friends and family who might enjoy it. If you listen on Apple Podcasts, please leave us a review. Until the tasting episode drops in a couple of weeks, sip wisely, my friends. Thank you for tuning in to the Sip Wiselee Podcast. If you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button to get the latest episodes. Don't forget to visit our website at stcharlesbourbonsociety.com for the show notes. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so please share them on social media. Follow us on all platforms by searching for St. Charles Bourbon Society. Our goal is to equip you with the knowledge to sip wisely. Cheers.